Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to review Unit 1. We are also going to talk about how to use what we have learned in Unit 1 in English conversation. So, let's get started. Let's begin by remembering what we have learned over the last 2 weeks of videos. We have learned TV show genre vocabulary. We have learned behind the scenes vocabulary, talking about movies. We have learned about using the present simple and present continuous verb tenses. We learned some adverbs of manner. And we learned about reading tweets about TV shows and movies. And we also learned how to describe a famous person. Before we talk about how to use all of these things that we have learned in English conversation, let's do a quick review of the important points over the last several videos. First, let's review the Unit 1 vocabulary. I am going to read the words, and then I want you to say them after me. Got it? Let's begin. Cartoon, chat show, talk show, comedy, documentary, drama, on-demand series, reality show, soap opera. These are the words and terms that we used to talk about TV show genres. So there are a few that may be especially new to you, like on-demand series. If you remember, an on-demand series is a show that you can watch on your computer or on your phone, and you don't have to download it. So shows on Netflix are shows that we would call an on-demand series. Now let's review the words that we learned to talk about behind the scenes at a movie. Actor, actress. Camera operator. Costume designer. Director. Script. Makeup artist. Set. And sound engineer. There are a couple words that we should especially review here. First, let's look at actor and actress. If you remember, an actor is the word that we would use to describe a man who acts, and actress is the word we would use to describe a woman who acts. So try not to confuse those. Next we see operator. Camera operator. To operate means to use or to work. So if you are the camera operator, you are the person holding the camera and recording. Finally, we see sound engineer. The sound engineer is the person who makes sure that everything sounds great in the movie. They hold the microphone and they might even help out with, after the production of the movie, making sure everything sounds awesome. So now that we have reviewed the vocabulary we learned in Unit 1, let's go ahead and see if you can guess the correct term. So we're going to look at a sentence and a picture, and let's see if you can guess which vocabulary word goes in these sentences. Number 1. Have you ever seen the Planet Earth 2? It is so cool to see wildlife up close. So already we have a clue in this sentence that it's a show where you can see wildlife. What kind of show would that be? Let's see a picture and see if it helps you. Does this look like a comedy or a drama? This is a documentary. Anything that documents real life and things like nature and animals or different people around the world is called a documentary. Number 2, The Daily Show is a funny. The host interviews famous people and talks about current events. What would we call a show where the host interviews famous people and talks about current events? Let's see a picture to give you a clue. This kind of show is a talk show or a chat show, but mostly we call them talk shows. Number 3, I'd love to be a, because I enjoy making clothes. What would we call a person who works on a movie set who likes making clothes and they make the clothes for the actors and actresses? What would we call that person? Are they a makeup artist? Are they a sound engineer? This is the costume designer. And our last example for vocabulary review, example number 4. They built a huge for the movie. It looks like an ancient city. So here we see it's something you can build and it looks like a place. What would we call this part of a movie behind the scenes? This is the set. Now that we have reviewed the Unit 1 vocabulary, let's go ahead and review the grammar that we learned in Unit 1. So the first important grammar point that we learned in Unit 1 was present simple and present continuous, which to use and when. There are a few easy ways we can remember which to use. So let's review how we can do that. When we look at present simple, we see that we can use this with time expressions like always, sometimes, never, every day, every week, often, seldom, rarely, and so on. Present simple is used to talk about things that are usually true or are always true. For example, I run on Saturdays. I swim every week. We can use present simple to talk about habits and things that are always true. Every Friday, my students come to class. What about present continuous? With present continuous, we see time expressions like now, right now, at the moment, today, this morning, this evening, or whatever time it is now. Present continuous is used to talk about things happening now or continuous actions, ongoing actions. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would write the present simple and present continuous tense in these sentences using the word visit. For present simple, more than 3 million people visit locations for films here every year. When we use present simple, if we have the pronouns I, you, we, or they, the verb stays the same. If we have he, she, or it, we add s, es, or ies to the verb. And here we can see that we would want to use the present simple because we're talking about something that's always true. More than 3 million people visit every year. All my students come to class every day. So when we're talking about things that are always true, or are facts or habits, we use present simple. Let's look at our sentence for present continuous. Today I am visiting a film workshop with my media studies class. Remember, with present continuous, we have our subject, the verb be, and then our verb plus ing. I am visiting. And why would we use present continuous here? Because it's today, now. It's happening in the present and it will continue. Let's go ahead and quickly fill in the blanks just as a fast review for whether we use present simple or present continuous. I blank Netflix every night. Well, here we see every night. It's always true, so I watch. Right now, I hospital playlist. Because it's right now, we want to talk in the present continuous form. I am watching. Number 2, I about World War II history in school, so now I a documentary about it. So here it's something happening in school. So we would use I am learning. I am learning about it. And here we see the word now. So now I am watching a documentary about it. These are things that are happening now, which shows us we need to use our subject, be, and verb plus ing. Number 3, I usually comedies. How about you? Here we see the time expression usually, which is an adverb of frequency. Usually, often, every day, sometimes. And when we're talking about habits and things that are always true, we use present simple. So we would say, I usually watch comedies. Next, let's look at adverbs of manner. Remember, adverbs are words that give more information about verbs and adjectives and even other adverbs. Usually, if we want to change an adjective or a verb to an adverb, we can just add ly. For example, quiet becomes quietly. Clear becomes clearly. Happy ends in a y, so we have to change the y to an I first and then add ly. Happily. Loud becomes loudly, and nice becomes nicely. Remember, there are some words that do not follow this rule. We cannot add ly to these words and have them become an adverb. Hard stays hard. So remember that example? We would say I work hard, not I hardly work. Fast is also still fast, no change. And good becomes well. You did that well. Now, let's look at some sentences that are missing an adverb and see if we can guess which adverb of manner that we learned goes into these sentences. Number 1, the actor spoke really in the movie. I couldn't hear them. Okay, so how did they speak? Remember, adverbs answer the question how about our verb. How did they speak? Well, if I couldn't hear them, then we would say they spoke really quietly. And here that adverb quietly tells us more about our verb speak. Number 2, the writers worked really on this script. It must have been difficult. So we need an adverb that tells us how did the writers work? It was difficult. It was a lot of work. So what adverb would we use here? We could say the writers worked really hard on this script. Remember, this is a word that we cannot add ly to become an adverb, or it becomes a totally different word. Okay, our last example. She acts so... She's amazing. So I want an adverb that tells me, how does she act? She does a great job. It's so wonderful. She acts so well. Remember, if we want to change the word good to an adverb, it changes to well. Finally, let's review what you learned in the third video for Unit 1 about modern English. First, you learned about some internet slang and reading tweets. First, let's look at a tweet and review the parts. So if you are on Twitter or on social media, you know that if you have @ and then a name, that is called your handle. And often we see these which are called hashtags. So tweets are often used to talk about short information, and they're a great way to see about the latest culture and a really fun way to learn English. Part of why that is because we often use internet slang online. These are acronyms or abbreviations or a way of shortening something that would normally take a long time to type. So you looked at some examples like LOL, meaning laughing out loud, BTW, meaning by the way, and IKR, meaning I know, right? There are a lot of fun internet acronyms that you can use, and just going on English social media can help you learn them. Finally, you learned how to describe famous people. So here we looked at an example of my favorite internet star, Rosanna Pansino. And the important takeaway from this example was when you're describing a famous person, you should answer these questions. What does the star usually do? And what is the star doing now? So you can give some background information and you can talk about what they usually do and what they're doing now. So in this, we saw a lot of great examples of simple present and present continuous. For example, she bakes, she has got, she explains. We also saw great present continuous like she is making. So when it's your time to describe a famous person, remember to use these verb tenses. Now that we have reviewed the important things we learned over the last several videos, let's apply it. How can we use what we've learned in conversation? Well, with TV show and movie vocabulary, we can talk about what kind of shows and movies we like. With present simple and present continuous, you can talk about what you often watch and what you're watching now. Adverbs of manner can help us to describe actors and movies and our opinions about actors and movies. Learning how to read tweets about TV shows and movies can help us talk about the latest and newest popular media, whether it's a TV show or a movie, music, and so on. And learning how to describe a famous person helps us describe the people and shows we like and why. So all of these skills are very helpful in English conversation, especially about our topic, TV shows and movies. Let's put it to use. Now, let's listen to a conversation between two people. The people in this conversation are going to talk about the shows and movies that they like. Pay close attention and listen for the language points we've learned throughout this unit. First, let's listen to the first half of the conversation. Please fill in the blanks while we listen.
So, what are you going to do this weekend?
Not much.
I've been staying home a lot lately. I'll probably watch Netflix.
Oh, I love Netflix. What kind of shows do you like to watch?
I usually watch comedies, but right now I'm watching a show called Peaky Blinders. It's a really cool drama.
What's it about?
It's about a crime family in England after World War One. The story is great, and there are so many amazing actors and actresses in it. Do you know who Killian Murphy is?
Okay, if you need to listen again, please rewind the video and listen one more time to make sure you can fill in the blanks. Let's go ahead and check these answers together. First we see, I'll probably blank Netflix. Watch. Next we see, I usually blank blank. I usually watch comedies, but right now I'm watching a show called Peaky Blinders. What we can see here is the present simple and present continuous. I usually watch, but now I am watching a show called Peaky Blinders. It's a really cool drama. Let's go down to our last two blanks. There are so many amazing actors and actresses in it. Remember, actor is the word we use for a man who acts, and actress is the word we use for a woman who acts. Now let's listen to the second part of this conversation. Again, please listen and fill in the blanks with the correct word.
Oh, yeah, he acts so well. He was in Inception, right? I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie. He's one of my favorite actors.
Why do you like him?
I like him because he acts amazingly and because he is multi talented. He's a musician too. He always works hard and he seems like a great person. I love watching shows and movies that he acts in.
I know that he has worked with the director Christopher Nolan a lot. Do you like him too?
Definitely.
I just read a tweet saying that his new movie is in theaters now. Want to go see it together?
Sure.
Okay, let's go ahead and fill in the blanks. First, number one. He acts so well. Here we see an adverb, well. Remember, this comes from the word good. Next, I like him because he acts amazingly. This is also an adverb, and we can tell easily by that ly on the end. Here we see we can take an adjective like amazing and turn it into an adverb by adding that ly. Next, he always works hard. Remember, this is one of those where we do not add ly. Number 4, I know that he has worked with the director. And finally, I just read a tweet. If you remember from the third video, a tweet is a post from the social media site Twitter. Now let's listen to the whole conversation. Please read along while you listen.
So, what are you going to do this weekend?
Not much. I've been staying home a lot lately. I'll probably watch Netflix.
Oh, I love Netflix. What kind of shows do you like to watch?
I usually watch comedies, but right now I'm watching a show called Peaky Blinders. It's a really cool drama.
What's it about?
It's about a crime family in England after World War One. The story is great, and there are so many amazing actors and actresses in it. Do you know who Killian Murphy is?
Oh, yeah, he acts so well. He was in Inception, right? I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie. He's one of my favorite actors.
Why do you like him?
I like him because he acts amazingly and because he is multi-talented. He's a musician too. He always works hard and he seems like a great person. I love watching shows and movies that he acts in.
I know that he has worked with the director Christopher Nolan a lot. Do you like him too?
Definitely.
I just read a tweet saying that his new movie is in theaters now. Want to go see it together?
Sure.
Next, let's take a closer look. What language points can we see in this conversation? We can see many language points in this conversation that we have learned throughout this unit. Let's start by finding some vocabulary. We can see words like comedy, drama, actor, actress, director, and even tweet. Next, we can see many examples of simple present and present continuous. Here in this sentence, I usually watch comedies, but right now I'm watching a show called Peaky Blinders. This is a great example of how and when to use simple present and when to use present continuous. We see many adverbs of manner throughout this conversation as well. We see terms like, he acts so well, and he acts amazingly. Finally, we see how to describe a famous person in this paragraph. So in this conversation, we can see the many ways that what we've learned in this unit can be used in English conversation. There is an important thing to note. Every successful conversation has something called follow-up questions. It is great to learn how to use grammar points and to learn new vocabulary, but for a conversation to keep going, we need to ask questions to the other person about what they're talking about. Let's see what the follow-up questions were in this conversation. What kind of shows do you like to watch? What's it about? He was in Inception, right? Why do you like him? Do you like him too? And want to go see it together? These follow-up questions are what allowed the conversation to happen. So when you are having a conversation in English, remember that it's not just about what you can say, but about learning what the other person has to say as well. We'll learn more about follow-up questions later this semester. Okay, everyone, that's it for our Unit 1 review and conversation practice. Please check eClass for assignments, and I will see you next time.